Hi, welcome. Before I jump in and do my intro and go over everything that I'm talking about this episode, I wanted to make a quick apology. Last week, Caillou Chaz was the player of the week, and also I have talked about him a lot in a few episodes just because of his standing in the league leaders of points and goals and such. And I wanted to make an apology because of the amount I talk about him. He was traded, or I genuinely did not know and did not remember that he was one of the two players traded from the Seattle Thunderbirds to the Red Deer Rebels because of horrific racist things that he had said to a fellow teammate, and of course, who knows who else. Um, I did not know that. I did not recall it, and it honestly it upset me when I realized that that was the same guy. So I will not be talking about him in the future. I will not be talking about him on the show anymore. I do not condone any acts of racism, discrimination, anything, and that will not be this is not good. And so I apologize for talking about him and praising him because that is not something that anybody should do. I don't care how talented he is. He should not be in the WHL, and I stand by that. So apologies, and I hope everybody, if anybody was upset for me talking about him, I really hope that you hear my apology, and I will not talk about him again. And yeah, and racism should not be tolerated, no matter how talented a player is. So, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Up next, the WHL Show with Gabriel Neumann.
Hi, welcome back to the WHL Show. My name is Gabe Neumann, and today we have a lot to cover. We're going to be talking a lot about the WHL trade deadline, everything that happened on there, all the trades. We're definitely going to be covering that. That's basically going to be the main topic of this episode. Next week, I do have a couple great guests coming on, and I will be making that announcement later on. So make sure you follow me on Twitter to catch who that announcement will be. But we have two players coming on next week, and I'm very excited, and I know that a couple of you guys will be as well. So definitely stay tuned for that. So this week, we'll go into our weekly recap right after we talk about the trades and everything that has happened. But for now, we're going to go ahead and cover all of the trades that went down. If you follow the WHL, you know that they tweeted a live blog that showed all of the trades that were going down. And we are also basically we're just going to go over that, talk a bit about each trade. There are definitely a few teams that I'm more familiar with than others, so those I'll definitely talk about a bit more, just give you guys a bit of insight. And a bit of my perspective on which trades I think won, which teams won which trades, and also what the thoughts that went behind each trade. And if you guys also have any thoughts regarding these, I would love to hear them. I'm sure some of you know way more about a specific team than I do, and I would love to be educated on that. And I really do want to learn more about each team and each trade and hearing your opinions. So feel free to give me those thoughts and things. I think that'd be really cool. But we're going to go ahead and kick things off. I did go through this I'm pretty sure, yeah, these should be chronological. That's the word I was looking for. These should be chronological and in order. So we're going to be starting from Sunday, which was when chaos really started to kick off, right? So Sunday, where for me the biggest trade that day was between Everett and Kamloops, and we're going to talk about that, of course, but that'll be the second one we're talking about because technically that was the second big trade that happened that day. The first one that we had was between the Seattle. Oh, that was Saturday. I'm so sorry. Saturday was that'll be Sunday. Saturday was the one that was between the Seattle Thunderbirds and the Kelowna Rockets. The Seattle Thunderbirds acquired a fifth-round pick and also forward Colton Dock. He's born in 2003, and he is a prospect for the Chicago Blackhawks, 6'4", 205 pounds. And he also got a gold medal this year with at the 2023 World Juniors, which I think is really great. He is definitely going to be Seattle. He and Seattle are definitely going to be a team to watch just because of everything that all the players that they've acquired. Nolan Allen, Luke Brokaw, a bunch of other really great guys. Can't even, if I list the whole roster, you know what I mean. So watching Seattle, Kelowna Rockets in that trade, they got Ethan Middlestead. who is a defenseman. Ty Hurley, who's a forward, a first round pick in 2024, second round pick, conditional pick, that's in 2025, and then a fourth round pick in 2023. That's also a conditional pick. So that was the very first trade that really started off this trade frenzy before the deadline, and then we had the bigger ones coming in, and so that was on Sunday. That was Saturday. This is Sunday. So Sunday was when we had that fun thing start. The train really left the station there. I don't know what I'm saying. Sunday was really when things started to kick off and get crazy. At 7 p.m. Mountain Time, the Winnipeg Ice managed to land Zach Ostapchuk, who was the captain of the Vancouver Giants. And so that was definitely a big name that left and went across the entire country from Vancouver over to Winnipeg. And so that is definitely that was an interesting interesting trade. And in exchange for him, the Vancouver Giants acquired Skylar Bruce and forward Connor Dale, as well as a handful of picks, and also 2 prospects, Hudson Landmark and Owen Breeze. So, and those are both 2007 born forwards, and they are prospects for the team at the moment, and are now going to be prospects for the Winnipeg Ice, which I think is pretty cool. And so they are, so that was the first big trade that we had coming in. It was definitely a big name, and we were, so that was really what started it. Yeah, okay, cool. You know what I'm trying to say. Now, for the big one that I that I was stressed about, I was actually at a friend's house when this trade was announced, and she's a huge Silvertips fan. Shout out to Sylvia. And so it was a it was a night of stress as we were trying to figure out and the rumors, and there were so many rumors circling around. Is where's Zellweger gonna go? And when did Ryan Hofer get brought into this? There were also a couple more Tips players that were rumored to be going along in the trade as well, which obviously those did not turn out to be true. But it was a nightmare. And so now that the trade has officially been announced, it's definitely been a popular debate on Twitter who officially won the trade. Let's actually talk about before we go into that, let's actually talk about who and what who and what got traded. So the Kamloops Blazers acquired defenseman Olin Zellweger and forward Ryan Hofer. Ryan Hofer let's do this chronologically. Olin Zellweger is an incredibly skilled defenseman, arguably the most talented defenseman in the WHL at the moment. Possibly you could honestly even make a case for CHL. He's very, very, very talented. Drafted by the Anaheim Ducks. He's a prospect for that team. He won a gold medal. He has 3 gold medals in the World Juniors for Team Canada, which I think is absolutely insane, and really he's known for his skating. He's a very talented, as I just said a million times, I guess you guys get it, really talented defenseman, and so that was a huge acquisition for the Kamloops Blazers. Ryan Hofer is also not one to be overlooked. That guy is also insane. He is a Washington Capitals prospect, and he's also somebody who's just an enforcer. He's really, really fun to watch on the ice, and I really think that the Kamloops Blazers will 100% benefit with him on that team, on that roster. He is in his overager year. He was born in 2020. He was born in 2002. So it is his 20-year-old season, and he will be it'll be his last year in the WHL. So definitely two talented players in the WHL that the Blazers got, and also both are going to be leaving their respective teams, or leaving the WHL most likely next year, with Ryan Hofer being an overager, and also Zellweger most likely heading to the San Diego Gulls, who is the affiliate for the Anaheim Ducks next year. It's what's looking really likely at the moment. On the Silvertips side of things, the Silvertips acquired a bunch of draft picks in exchange. There were, I think, 10 total, one of those being a conditional pick, and they also from the Kamloops Blazers, they received Caden Hamill, Drew Inglot, who we'll talk about in a minute, and we'll talk about that in a second. Caden Hamill, Drew Inglot, Rylan Pierce, and then Jack Baker, And so that's so the two players that I just listed, they are also prospects, and so they are going to be, if they come into the play with us this season, it'll be their rookie year, which is great. And Caden Hamill, I wrote about him in my rookies piece for the Blazers. So if you follow the A51 Area 51 Sports Network, feel free to check that out, because I do do an analysis on him, and also his future, or his potential future, coming up in the NHL 2023 NHL draft. So if you want to read more, any Silvertips fan wants, oh my gosh, I'm gonna try again. If any Silvertips fans want to find out more about the kid that we just acquired, feel free to check out my article on the Kamloops Blazers 2023 draft eligibles, and because he is actually the first player that I talk about in that piece. So make sure if you want to see what kind of player he is, that's where you can go to find it. But yeah, so Hamill is a very good player, very, very good. He's a B-rated prospect for the upcoming draft, and I think that he's going to definitely go higher in the second, third round, and so I'm very excited to see that. But also now, like, talking about the debates, right, between which team won this trade, right? Of course, Zellweger and Hofer are major components of who the Silvertips are at this or at the moment before they got traded. They were going to leave eventually, and eventually is honestly sooner rather than later. Hofer being in his overage year, and Zellweger most likely going to the San Diego Gulls, and even potentially the Anaheim Ducks. It's more of a case of when and not if. And so the fact that the fact that the Silvertips were able to get get something out of it, and get a bunch of things in return, so that they can focus on their rebuild that's going to be coming up in the next season, and in the future. Definitely, I think the Silvertips, I think, did get more out of this trade. The Kamloops Blazers are basically, because they're hosting the 2023 Memorial Cup, they're really hoping to get it. They're gunning up for that. They're gunning up for that cup run, and so I think that they're building a team for short term, and Silvertips are looking at long term. So I think it's too early to say who necessarily won the trade, just because there's a lot that could happen between then and now. There's a lot that could change. But kind of looking at it now, I think that the Silvertips did get a bit more of the benefits from that, just because they have all these players that they're now going to be able to draft, and they are able to use these acquisitions for the rebuild that is absolutely going to be necessary, because they're losing some really key players. Jackson Berezowski in his overager year, Aiden Sutter in his overager year, Olin Zellweger and Ryan Hofer, obviously, as we were just talking about. So there's going to be a lot of moving in and out, and rebuilding that roster, and getting some new guys in, and really creating a team identity there. So I'm very excited to see what they do with that, and how the new guys fit in, and how they build an identity for themselves, and an identity with the team. And also, I'm very excited to see what Hofer and Zellweger do with the Kamloops Blazers, and how their play in the 2023 Memorial Cup goes. Very looking forward to that. So that's awesome. Now, for the next trade that happened that night, it was Sunday. And then, so now we're on to Monday. Monday, of course, was yesterday. And that was, I think, one of the biggest days. Because today, of course, being the deadline, we also had a couple last minute trades. But I think yesterday was the biggest one, where, like, it felt like every other minute we were getting news of a different trade. I'm not going to spend too long on all of them, but I do want to go ahead and cover all of them, just so we all know. So the Swift Current Broncos, the first trade that happened on Monday was between the Swift Current Broncos and the Brandon Wheat Kings. The Swift Current Broncos acquired Mason Ward from the Brandon Wheat Kings, he is a defenseman, and he was born in 2002, so it's his overage year. And then in exchange, the Brandon Wheat Kings acquired Caden Sadra Kang, who is a defenseman as well. He's in his 2003 year, and so that is super interesting. Excuse me. So Mason Ward is I'm gonna just cut that out. Okay. Earlier, sorry, the second trade of that day, of yesterday on Monday, was actually between the Swift Current Broncos and Everett Silvertips. Yeah, earlier when I was talking about the Hofer trade and the Hofer and Zellweger trade and everything, the Silvertips, one of the players that the Tips acquired was Drew Inglot. And now Drew Inglot was actually traded the very next morning to the Swift Current Broncos, and in exchange, the Silvertips got Raphael Pelletier. He is a forward, and he was born in 2002, so he's going to be an overager. He is a and then we also did get. I keep saying wait. And the Silvertips also did get a second round pick for 2024. Now, later that day, the Silvertips got another acquisition, Nolan Chasko from the Prince George Cougars. The Prince George Cougars, in exchange, got a sixth round pick, which was actually a conditional pick for 2025. So that is definitely the Silvertips are adding to their roster there. Next trade after that was two trades that we haven't necessarily seen yet in this whole trade chaos between the Tri-City Americans and the Edmonton Oil Kings. Edmonton Oil Kings got a second round pick, and then the Tri-City Americans got Ethan Peters, who is a defenseman. He was born in 2003, and so that's great. And then I think two very exciting trades, or not necessarily trades because we didn't, the teams didn't really give anything. Two exciting acquisitions that two teams got. First one, Portland Winterhawks got Chaz Lucius. I don't know, but I like his name, Chaz. It's amazing. It's a great name, great hockey player name too. So they acquired him from the NHL's Winnipeg Jets. He was a former first round pick for the Jets, and he is headed to the WHL to play for the Portland Winterhawks. This is going to be his first season in the WHL. He previously played he has 5 points in the Manitoba Moose in the American Hockey League, and he competed with the NCAA at University of Minnesota in 2021 and 2022. And so, excuse me, sorry. He also played in the World Juniors and got a bronze medal with the United States team, and that was 2023. So. Sorry, I had to go die for a second. Okay, so that's going to be a great thing. And so he's going to be definitely a very fun player to watch in Portland. And also on the other side of that, the Winnipeg Jets also announced that former first round pick Brad Lambert is going to the Seattle Thunderbirds. So definitely another big name that is heading to the Seattle Thunderbirds team. They are just really building up their roster, which I think is really fun to watch. He is a Finnish player. He was from Lahti, Finland, and they originally he was acquired in Seattle or by Seattle in June of 2022, and he was selected by the Saskatoon Blades in the 2022 CHL import draft. And then he also played with the Manitoba Moose and is a prospect for the Jets. And he's now heading to the Seattle Thunderbirds, which I think is really great, and also just their roster is just never fails to amaze me. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, he also recently competed with Finland at the 2023 World Juniors, and that is just shows what a great player that kid is. And I'm really excited to see him on the team. Now, the next trade that we have is going to be between the Tri-City Americans and the Kelowna Rockets. This one I won't talk too much about, just to give a quick overview. It was Jackson Romeril and heading to the Tri-City Americans, and the Kelowna Rockets got a fourth round pick in 2023, which is this year. Now, the Silvertips are back here with this one. Jacob Hofragi, who is a defenseman born in 2003, he went to the Edmonton Oil Kings, and then in exchange, the Everett Silvertips got a seventh round pick for 2025. So, Jacob Hofragi is off to Edmonton, and that is another of Everett's many trades in this chaos here. Now this one kind of broke my heart as a Winterhawks fan, right? Dawson Pasternak of the Winterhawks is headed to the Brandon Wheat Kings, so he is going to be going as well as a fourth round pick to the Brandon Wheat Kings. In exchange, the Portland Winterhawks got Colin Frank, a second round pick in 2026, and then a sixth round pick in 2025. So that's also another pretty big trade for any Portland fans out there, and also, of course, Brandon Wheat Kings, and definitely big news. Now, for the Brandon Wheat Kings as well, just staying on the topic of them, they had the next trade, which is going to be between them and the Kelowna Rockets. The Brandon Wheat Kings got Nolan Flamand, and the Kelowna Rockets got Trey Johnson, third round pick, and a fifth round pick. So pretty big one again. Then the Saskatoon Blades acquired from, again, the Brandon Wheat Kings. They got, this time it was Jake Chiasson, and then in return, the Brandon Wheat Kings got a first-round pick in 2023, a second-round pick in 2025, and then a second-round conditional pick in 2026. So that's great. And then also there was a interesting trade that was from the Edmonton, or that is regarding, I guess, the Edmonton Oil Kings. They added, I'm just going to read you what that says here on the WHL's website. The Edmonton Oil Kings added a veteran presence via the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, QMJHL, acquiring 20-year-old forward Loic Daigle from the Shawinigan Cataracts for via CHL waivers. So that's really cool, seeing a kid jump over from the different CHL league to the WHL. Very excited to see what he does here and how he grows. He's a veteran. He has 108 games played in the QMJHL, 50 points, and was a member of the 2021 QMJHL champions, which were the Victoriaville Tigers. So definitely a really interesting trade. I think you don't really see much of those jumping from league to league. And just, yeah, that's really fun to see it. It's really cool. Now we have another Silvertips trade. How could we ever could have guessed? We are not surprised at this point. They acquired goaltender Donovan Bodnar from the Portland Winterhawks, who in exchange got a 4th-round pick, and the Silvertips also got a 6th-round pick. 6th-round pick was a conditional pick in 2024, and the Winterhawks got a 4th-round pick in 2024. So that's cool. Another one that I think would be a pretty cool one, especially for Lethbridge fans. Jared Picklick, goaltender, was originally on the Lethbridge Hurricanes. He got traded to the Tri-City Americans, and then now he's going back home. He's going to be playing for Lethbridge again. And in exchange, the Tri-City Americans got a 10th-round pick for the 2025 draft. And so that is definitely good for Hurricanes fans, and I bet they're cheering, seeing their goaltender play back again with Lethbridge. Definitely going to be great to see. We have another Portland Winterhawks one. This one, the Red Deer Rebels have now acquired Nick Andrusiak from the Portland Winterhawks, and in exchange, the Winterhawks got a 7th-round pick in 2024. Now, the next one after that was the Kelowna Rockets and the Prince Albert Raiders. Landon Cooper headed to the Kelowna Rockets, and then in exchange, the Prince Albert Raiders got a 5th-round conditional pick in 2025. The Kamloops Blazers made another trade. That was going to be with the Swift Current Broncos. Dalen Weigel of the Broncos is headed to Kamloops Blazers, and then in exchange, the Broncos got the 9th-round pick in 2026. Vancouver Giants that same day also got Ben Feenan from the Tri-City Americans in exchange for a 7th-round pick in 2025. The Prince George Cougars, in a pretty big one, I'd say, got Zach Funk from the Calgary Hitmen. In exchange, the Calgary Hitmen now have Carter McAdams, a 2nd-round pick in 2024, and then a 4th-round pick in 2024. So I think that's another big one, because Zach Funk is definitely a name that I at least recognize and know. And I'm very excited to see him on the Cougars and see what he adds to that team for sure. Portland Winterhawks. Whoa. Sorry, I didn't even see this one. The Portland Winterhawks added Ozzy Weisblatt to their roster from the Prince Albert Raiders in exchange for a 1st-round pick, 2nd-round pick, and a 1 1st-round pick and 2 2nd-round picks. First one was in 2025, conditional. They're all conditional, and then the second rounds are both in 2026. That's a live reaction from me. I did not see that trade earlier. That's cool. Oh, we're on to Tuesday now. Oh, when have we been on to Tuesday? I did that transition so poorly, guys. I am so sorry. Wow. When did I mess up? 10 a.m., 10:45. When did we go to Tuesday? Oh, after Hot Froggy. My bad, everybody. So after Hot Froggy, if you watch back, after that was all today, Tuesday. Oh, sorry. That was great. So today, Tuesday, the last trade, the Winterhawks got the forward Ozzy Weisblatt. And that's it. That wraps up the trade deadline. Oh my gosh. Just kind of chaotic. As you can tell, I say chaos a lot in this episode. And as you can see, I'm also kind of wrapped up in my own chaos. So sorry, I totally just missed that. We've moved on to a completely different day. Anyway, okay, we're done. So Yeah, that was it for the trades. I'll go over the weekly. I'll go over the weekly recap in just a sec, and I think that's gonna be fun to look at, especially with all the new teams. But make sure to tell me, hit me up on Twitter. Let me know, which trade do you think was the biggest trade? First of all, which trade do you think was the biggest blockbuster trade that the WHL has ever seen? Was it Zach Ostapchuk heading from Vancouver? Was it the to the Winnipeg Ice? Was it the Olen Zellweger Ryan Hofer trade going up to Kamloops from Everett and getting Everett getting all those 10 picks and those 4 players from them? Wasn't something completely different? I really want to know what you think. I think that that would be great. Tell me everything. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me who, maybe about a smaller trade that I did really spend time really talking about. Tell me about those players who you're excited to see. And yeah, for the weekly recap, we got leaders of the league. We got, oops, sorry, I just like shook my camera. We have leaders of the league. So it'll be goals, points, everything. I did not actually compare the points and the stats from this week compared to last week, which I think is actually a pretty fun thing that I'm doing. Did not do that this week just because I'm on a time crunch. Gonna be honest, gonna be completely honest. I'm kind of on a time crunch and just want to get this to you, but I'm gonna do that in the future. I think it's something that I like looking at, looking at the different changes in the rankings and everything. Um, Now, so for points leaders, we have Connor Bedard in first. He has 70. And then in second place is Andrew Crystal with 62. In goals, we have a Red Deer Rebels forward. And then in second, it's going to be Connor Bedard with the Regina Pats. In assists, Connor Bedard with the Regina Pats. Wow, actually, yeah, I didn't even realize. Connor Bedard's in second right now in goals. He has 31. Connor Bedard's first in assists right now, though, with 39. And then Lucas Dragicevic of Dragicevic. It's like a tongue twister. I'm just bad at words. Um, with He's in second place with 37. Now, those are like the main ones for those, but for goaltenders, here we go. Those are going to be pretty much honestly the same few that we've talked about in the last few episodes. Of course, they're not going to differentiate much, but it's still kind of cool. Goals against average. Austin Elliott is in first of the Saskatoon Blades. Austin Elliott is first, 1.89 goals against average. Right behind him is Scott Ratzlaff of the Seattle Thunderbirds, 2.20. Wait, okay. Save percentage, Austin Elliott of the Saskatoon Blades is also first for that with a .925 save percentage. And then Connor Unger of the Moose Jaw Warriors is in second with a .922 save percentage. So that's great. And yeah, so yeah, that about wraps it up for this episode. I really thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate you. How, again, as I was talking about earlier, who do you think won the trades of all? Like, who do you think was the biggest trade? Who do you think won whichever trade you want to talk about? Which trade do you think was kind of dumb? Which trade do you think was super smart? I want to hear it. I want to hear all of it. So let me know. Talk to me. And also, if you want to see any content from me, any specific Blazers, Cougars, or Warriors content, feel free to let me know, and I will do my best to get something written up for you guys. I will be announcing my 2 guests that I will have on next week, or next week's guests. I will be announcing next week's guests very, very soon on Twitter, and I'm very excited for those 2. I think those are going to be really fun and definitely something to watch and keep an eye out for. Yeah. Have a great day. Thank you so much for watching and for sticking with me through this crazy, crazy